Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Blackbird Breakfast Club, episode 2, right?
Yeah, you're listening to the Blackbird Breakfast Club. Blackbird Breakfast Club.
Ba-da-ba-ba-dow.
Good morning.
I hated that too. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Yeah, we've got a fun topic today.
We sure do. We talked about this in the last episode,
Mhm.
if anybody was listening to that one.
Yeah, we talked about this would be a fun episode to do. Gen Z versus millennials.
Yeah.
Which we are each of those things.
That's us. But
Half-
before we do that, we should roll the intro. Hey, I'm Joseph.
I'm Jordan.
I'm a
listening-
Gen Z.
Okay. Sorry, can we do it again? One more time. Okay.
Hey, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Jordan.
And I'm a Gen Z.
And I'm a millennial.
And we're going to talk about that.
Joseph, when were you born? I
I
do
was
know the
born
answer. I'm just asking
in-
for the sake of the podcast.
In the great year of 1997.
Mm-hmm. And I was born in 1993. So Joseph is on that line of millennial Gen Z, but
I would say that we're both on the line.
I was reading that it's 96, 97 is...
I thought it was like 94, 95.
I don't think so.
Hold on. Let's get an official consensus first.
Yeah, you look that up. But I think I'm for sure millennial. Like, I don't think there's any question on a 93 baby. I'm a millennial through and through, I'm pretty sure. So.
All right.
But you are the one that is
Google
on the
knows
edge.
all
Yeah.
is saying that the oldest members of Gen Z were born in 1996. Meaning that
Okay, yeah. So
I'm at
you
least
are
a year in. I'm on the
well, that's what I
older
was
end.
reading is like you're on that line, but I definitely think that you probably classify as Gen Z.
Yeah.
Cool. So for the sake of this podcast, that's what's
For
happening.
the sake of this podcast and for the sake of the clickbait,
yeah.
Jordan is millennial and I'm a Gen Z.
Yeah, which is we're just, out here
Just breaking
breaking every stereotype
Yeah.
imaginable because
Societal
God forbid I'm
standards.
3.5 years older than my husband.
That's true. Cradle robber.
God.
I've always thought that it was really strange that when I mentioned that I am married to an older woman, to other men, the sort of reaction is like, great job. Like, that's hot.
Yeah, and then women are like, "Oh, cougar," and I'm like,
Right.
"That's first of all, I'm not a cougar."
Yeah.
Like, second,
There's
like-
not a, it's not equal
no,
when
it's
it comes
just
to
it's
reactions
just funny.
to our age difference,
It's
which is barely a difference.
It's barely a difference. It's funny, like it's funny to me how people make a big deal about it sometimes, but I don't really care. I mean, Joseph and I we met in a similar place in life, and like I think that's kind of all that matters.
Yeah.
But anyway, just funny. All right, so how are we gonna do this, Joseph? You have a little structure
Well,
you want to tell the people.
I feel like the first thing we should talk about is the things that we remember differently growing up. Like what was at the forefront of our childhoods. Because that's,
Experience.
now that
yeah.
we're both adults, we kind of
Mhm.
experience life the same way, regardless of
Right.
what generation we identify as or
Right.
are a part of.
Yes.
So I think the biggest differences is our like childhoods. And I think you should start. Because we'll kind of get a timeline.
Right. Okay.
Do you have notes?
Yeah, I have notes. I was talking about how for this part of it, I would love to talk about like media growing up and stuff like that. So I kind of wrote down
I
some of
remembered
those things.
some deep memories of things that were around when I was a child.
Yes. And I think too, like, obviously this conversation is like not, how do I I don't feel like I need to like do a bunch of disclaimers, but it's like, obviously we were raised in like very specific homes, areas of the US, like there's all those biases, but I think like talking about it of like what we remember is very interesting to me. So
Also, we haven't talked about the elephant in the room.
what is the elephant?
We have
Oh, the
we have a new
table.
If you are,
We've been on a
if
journey.
you're a YouTuber and are watching us on the YouTube,
If you're not, we'll explain it to you in detail. Oh my God. This mug does not have a handle.
Nope.
and I love this mug. It's so cute, but oh my gosh, it is so
That's
hot.
a really bad idea to hold it with your hoodie.
Yeah, that is a bad idea.
Just let it cool down.
But I really, really want some.
Anyway, we got a new table. It is
It's glass. It's a beautiful table.
glass.
A steal, honestly. Facebook Marketplace,
That's
Joseph
right.
found it. It was a great deal. We were very happy. But anyway, yeah, I feel like we talked about this table enough in like the last couple episodes that
Yeah,
like it's
how much we hated it.
it's important to recognize we have a better
Yeah,
table
just
now.
so you guys know, we're here.
I don't
We're
even know if
upgrading
you
our
can
life.
really see it in the video,
Well,
but
that's 'cause
and
it's
it's also
clear.
glass. Okay, anyway, yeah, table's great. All right, back to growing up, nostalgic media, toys, games, movies. I thought it'd be funny to talk about.
Year of 1993.
Well, I mean, I don't remember that year because I was born that year. So, anyway, but growing up as a millennial, I remember things that were like just a huge part of my childhood is like Disney Channel. Like I grew up watching Disney Channel. I also grew up in a household where we didn't really watch TV a lot, but we watched TV at my grandparents' house or like at friends' houses. And as I got older, I watched TV a little bit. But again, it was mostly at friends' houses or not in my own house. So, but Disney Channel was like the thing. All the Disney Channel movies.
What were like the premier Disney Channel shows at the time?
I mean, Hannah Montana was like
Oh,
the show. Wizards of Waverly Place. Lizzie McGuire was kind of earlier. I didn't watch that a lot as a show.
I only vaguely remember Lizzie McGuire from leftover VHS tapes from my sister.
Wow. Yeah, the Lizzie McGuire movie was more
Yes.
of my thing. I
Smack.
didn't really watch the show as much growing up.
Cadet Kelly.
Yes. Oh my God. Hillary Duff was like an icon at the time,
She
and
was.
still is. I love her
I forgot
so
that was
much.
Hillary Duff.
Yeah, she's incredible. I love her so much. But yeah, all the Disney Channel, like High School Musical, Camp Rock, like those weren't early childhood. That was like more. I was like middle high school. But I feel like Disney Channel was a huge part of my growing up. Other things that like toys. I was thinking of toys of like Bratz were a huge part of my childhood. I loved Bratz and still do.
I think something that we're going to run into in this conversation
Yeah.
is that you're a girl
Mm-hmm.
and grew up with girl
Yes,
things. And I'm
yes.
a boy and I grew up with boy things.
For sure.
So like there's so much of this that I just don't relate to anyway. Because I
Right.
feel like Bratz were probably around when I was a kid too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like those lasted a little more than a few years.
Right.
But it's not like I had Bratz dolls.
No, true. But like I remember what my brother like toys my brother played with or did
Which
stuff
would've
with
been?
him.
'Cause your brother is
Bionicles,
slightly older than me.
Legos. Yeah, that's the thing is like my brother is Joseph's age. So like yeah, there's a lot
Don't
of
make it weird.
Don't make it weird. I was a big Bratz girl. Barbie a little bit,
Pull
but not
that
really.
mic a little farther away from your face when
It's
you're
not that-
talking about Bratz dolls.
It's not. What is wrong with you?
I
It's
just hear
not.
popping a lot.
I'm sorry.
That's perfect.
Oh, you said hold it
Hold it
further
further from your
away.
face,
I
is
thought
the
you
thing.
said you're holding that really far from your face. I was like, I'm not. I'm like kissing it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm telling you to stop
That's
doing.
the issue. Okay. Okay. Bratz dolls were great. Whatever. Also games that like Walker and I played a lot, like video games. But we played a lot of. I don't know if any of these were of the time. If they were just like what Walker and I
So whatever you
did.
remember.
We played all the Super Mario.
Those are millennial icons.
Yeah, Mario 64, like the world game or whatever. I don't know what it's called. Super Mario World.
Game. No, it's Super Mario 64.
Okay, I didn't know if I had a world in it.
Super Mario 64 World
I don't know.
with Mr. Super Mario.
I don't know games as much. Yeah, I feel like those were a lot of like my childhood when I think of like nostalgic things growing up. Movies, we were a big Disney household, so we watched a lot of like classic Disney movies, like all the princesses. Again, that was me being very leaning into my feminine energy of like I was super obsessed with all the princesses and stuff like that, and we watched a lot of Disney and Pixar growing up. So stuff like that was like very, very much a staple in our household. So
But I feel like a lot of that was, even though our childhoods were only a few years apart, I would say that a lot of that, like I felt like was old at the time. Like Bug's Life,
that's crazy.
I thought was a super old movie.
Oh my gosh, I grew up watching that a lot.
Yeah, same.
So yeah,
But
so
it was
that
like, oh, this old
Yeah.
Pixar movie.
was Toy Story for you a big one?
Toy Story like 2. Toy Story 2
Not
was
the original.
around.
See, for us, like, Toy Story was like, we grew up with it in a sense. So by the time was it the third? How many are there? 3 or 4?
Well, there's 4 of them now.
yeah, but the fourth one was like.
even the third one was when I was in high school.
Well, the third one, I was about to graduate, or I was graduating high school. Sorry, not college. I was graduating high school, I'm pretty sure.
Which makes sense because
Andy was going to
as I
college.
was going into high school.
Yeah, Andy was going to college. So that was the big, like, heartstrings thing that they did. Like, the whole fan base was, like, that age. And so I was in that age group of, like, we watched that movie in the theaters, and my whole family is just, like, crying. I just remember my mom and I were both crying a lot. Anyway, so yeah, Toy Story was a big one. Honestly, yeah, anything like Disney, Pixar was big.
You were like the prime market
Yeah.
for Disney Pixar.
I remember, like, did you watch Dragon Tales growing up?
Oh,
I loved that one.
absolutely.
I loved that. Yeah.
PBS was a really big part of my
Mhm.
childhood. Like
yeah.
Dragon Tales, Arthur,
Yeah,
Zoom.
for sure.
I don't know if you remember Zoom
I don't know
or not.
that.
Oh man, Zoom
But
was great.
yeah. So I'd say those are kind of the main things I think about when I think about, like, just iconic things growing up. So that's me. What about you?
Yeah. Again, like I just feel like I remember those. I definitely remember those things being around, but I felt like they were old. Which obviously, as a
Because I'm
kid,
so much older than you.
right? Well, like
No, I'm just kidding.
it's the idea that like age difference kind of gets smaller as you
For
go
sure.
on because it's more about a percentage than it is about years. Where it's
Yeah.
like, you know, when I was 10 and you were 14,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know each other at the time, but I would have seen you as like an adult,
Right. True.
like.
Yeah, that's weird.
So
but
like the
yes.
things that you grew up with was like, oh, that's what like the older kids.
No, for sure. And like that is like you're saying, the I don't know how to explain it, but like what you're saying is like 3.5 years older was so much older when you were 10. So like of course
Well,
those
'cause
things
again, it was
felt
like,
older.
We didn't know each other in high school,
Right.
but I would have been a freshman when you were a senior, and that feels insane.
Yeah.
That feels insane.
Yeah, that is crazy.
But
All right.
so I, growing up, had a sister who had just left the house. Actually, I had 2 sisters that just left the house as I was kind of getting into my childhood. So I had a lot of leftover
Yes.
millennial girl things
Yeah.
in the house. So like the VHS tapes, like I said, there was like Cadet Kelly and we had some leftover Polly Pockets
Yeah,
that were around. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. I was
feel
going
like
to
I
mention
always
that.
wanted to eat them.
What?
Just they looked yummy
I know what you mean. They were very like
because they were kind of gummy, right?
they were gummy and glossy almost.
Yeah, they were.
A little bit.
Yeah,
They were very like my cousins had a lot of those, like Rivers.
yeah.
Rivers.
Shout out
and-
Rivers.
Yeah, shout out Rivers. Rivers had a bunch of them, and I remember anytime I would go to her house, I would just want to touch them because they had that kind of like
And
elastic.
that desire that you had to touch them was my desire to eat them. So here we are.
Tell me you
Didn't eat
didn't
any
actually
of them.
eat
Did
them.
not eat any
Okay.
of them. But the things that I feel like I grew up with, there's classics that have stayed the test of time, like
Right.
Legos. Legos was the
Yeah, I mean,
like, you know, we both had them. Our parents probably had them, and like our kids will probably have them too. Like this
Right.
has stayed the test of time.
yeah.
But I was trying to dig into the memory bank of like the very, very niche things that are super outdated now.
I love that.
Do you remember iDog?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I had one.
Right? That was
With the ears
oh,
that would.
yeah. I remember that was probably like
Oh
Christmas
my gosh.
2006,
I
maybe.
vividly remember mine. Mine
Oh,
were,
yeah.
were they all white or could
I
you choose
remember-
different colors? Mine was white and like.
Mine was all white as well.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my god.
But
Can I
that
look
was
up?
like
I gotta
that was
look
like
up
the
a photo.
big deal. Was like the iDog.
Yes, it was so cool too.
Yeah. There might be
iDog.
some of my fellow elder Gen Zs that remember Cube World. Do you remember what Cube World is?
Mm-mm.
I remember being obsessed with these. There
This
you
is
are.
bringing back so
iDog.
much for me.
Go ahead and look up Cube World too.
Cube World.
Cube World. I remember when these came out. They were little, like TV screens. Like it was little boxes. Is it coming up?
Cube World.
Not
Am
a
I
game. Not a game. Go to the images.
Okay.
Let's see. So it was like these little colored boxes.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. and
I
you'd
don't think I
link them
had them, but
together.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And like you'd buy them individually, and you'd link them together, and then the stick men on the screen would interact with each other.
Yes, and it looks like there's like animals and sports and stuff.
They just like it was cube.
I
world.
remember seeing them.
Yeah. I just like remember things like that. That was like that was the cutting edge of technology. Was Cube World.
I feel like maybe it was that I don't remember having them is because I was maybe a little old for it.
Yeah,
like maybe
100%.
it was more for your
100%.
age
Well, that's
than
what
it
I
was.
mean. Is like this is a huge difference. It's
No,
like,
I know. Yeah, but I
That
remember.
this changed toys.
So crazy. No, I remember them. I definitely didn't have any of these. I'm curious. Yeah.
The last one
Yeah.
that
Cube
I would
World.
say altered the course of my life was the Game Boy Advance SP, which was the one that flipped.
Oh, yeah, we had one. I had a blue one.
Same. The metallic blue one that got
Yes.
super scratched.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's probably still at my parents'
Has
house.
to be.
Honestly.
They've kept everything.
100%.
That was like I remember when that came out.
Nintendo DS. Did you have one of those?
Well, that was later.
okay.
That for me
With
was
the stylus.
yeah.
I had a pink one.
The Game Boy Advance SP was the like revolutionary bit of mine and my brother's childhood.
Yeah,
'Cause
for
we
sure. Walker played that a lot.
We would play Mega Man Battle Network 3 and link them together. Brief technical difficulties.
Yeah. It's a lot. All right.
So we're talking about my childhood, and I'll wrap it up.
You were
But-
talking about Game Boys and stuff.
Yeah, just that like we were on the cutting edge of video game culture, and like especially portable video games. Like the Game Boy Advance was before the SP, but that started like the Nintendo DS, which then led into the Switch, led into like. So we were kind of on. We were the test pilots for mobile gaming, and that has changed a lot of how I view entertainment. Like it kind of has to be that good now. Like if it's not that good, it's almost just not worth it. Right. Couple other things is that I don't remember 9/11. I know all the effects of it. Nope, not one bit. I would have been 4, like at most. I wasn't even in school yet when this happened.
I was really young, but I remember it enough that it left some sort of impact on me. I was confused about what was happening. Like I couldn't really.
Yeah.
I was too young to really explain, but
Right.
But, yeah.
But if you have any vague recollection of that happening whatsoever, that is more than I have. So I was not even fully conscious at that point.
That's crazy.
But so there was that. And then I feel like the other thing too was that like I just don't remember life without the internet. Like I do not remember a pre-internet world.
Yeah.
And specifically a pre-YouTube world. Like YouTube has always been around for me, and that's
crazy.
That was I would say my like prime entertainment as a kid was not shows. There was really good shows like on Nickelodeon. We also like part of how I specifically was raised is that we weren't allowed to watch a lot of things. So like I wasn't allowed to watch Disney Channel. I wasn't allowed to watch Nickelodeon, like those kind of things. Still sneaked it sometimes. But so like there was great shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I still stand by is a great show. There was all that, but at the same time, YouTube was the Wild West. There was like, I mean, like Shane Dawson, Smosh, Rhett and Link, like Fred.
Oh my God.
The Annoying Orange. All of this was happening at the same time, and it's these people who have, there's people like Shane Dawson and Rhett and Link who have stayed the test of time. One of them more infamously than the others. But like this was the time when anybody could do what we're doing right now and make a career off of it. So I feel like I was watching that happen. So it's just there was an endless amount of entertainment anytime that I wanted it. Yeah. And I think that that's a really big difference in how, Gen Z, me and younger, was raised and what our view on entertainment is as compared to millennials and older, where it was like, oh, you're watching a show? Cool, you're going to watch one episode of it and then wait 2 weeks until the next episode comes out or something. So it was the eras of like, Good Mythical Morning was coming out every day. Like I had new Rhett and Link content to watch every day growing up. Yeah. So to have that just kind of made TV seem pointless. Yeah, it was like, oh, I'm going to spend 30 minutes on this, and I'm not going to get to see what happens next immediately. Yeah. It's very like everything that was given to us was all instant gratification.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest like differences is like the internet, the impact of the internet
Yeah.
and like how long you've known it. 'Cause like I remember I got a phone when I was 16 and that was late for like my
Yes.
age. Like I remember being like, I'm the only one in high school who doesn't have a phone and like whatever. But I also remember that time where it was like flip phones and like I remember
man.
when people had like I remember the eras of all the like cell phones starting to become
Yeah.
a thing versus I think with Gen Z, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is like I feel like they've kind of just like always known phones were a thing, or at least like more
Yeah.
than I think I
100%.
remember.
And this is phones specifically is a topic where I kind of have to defer to what I know about other Gen Z and younger. 'Cause, and my situation was a
Yeah.
little different, but because it was the same for me, where I was 16 when I got the LG Sidekick.
Oh
that
yes,
had
the flip one.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I
like
remember-
you'd
I remember
flip
that.
the screen up.
Yeah,
That was a great one. I miss that phone.
yeah.
I
I didn't have one of those.
No, you went straight to iPhone.
I went straight to iPhone.
You
because-
capitalist pig.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we went through the dredges of the Android early network, but yeah. Carry on. You were talking about phones.
No, I mean that's kind of it. Is like I think that was probably a big distinction between the two generations as well, which kind of leads us into our next topic is like, what are the biggest differences between
For
our
sure.
generations?
I actually accidentally have segued perfectly into this. What I think is the biggest difference. Actually, just kidding. This segues into what I respect about millennials.
Oh,
But,
okay.
Let's talk about biggest differences first.
Okay.
What would you say, in your opinion, is
I
the biggest
wrote-
difference between millennials and Gen Z?
So here are the things I wrote down. It was kind of hard for me to think through the differences because I think that I know there are differences, but I also think that you and I kind of read that line so much. It's hard for me to like really, and so much of it is like biased on like where you live, where you grew up, and like all that. So
what your tax bracket
taking
was.
all that into consideration, the things I wrote down, which I'll go into each of them, but style I think is a huge difference.
Interesting.
I think it can be. I think that's maybe more of a stereotypical thing because I don't think everyone actually falls into that category. But I think style, at least like maybe boomers and older people look at like Gen Z versus millennial and like, oh,
yeah, this is a real boomer conversation
it really
that we're
is.
having right now.
It really is. And then relationship with the internet, which we kind of just talked about, I think is another one. And the other one I wrote, which I wrote down, is like words and like slang that we use.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's where you and I like really, that's where our differences show.
I would say that all of these things go back to relationship with the internet.
100%. Yeah.
That was the defining thing that changed from, because like they're not necessarily you, because you and I are so similar in age, even, despite our gap.
Right.
But older than you, there was childhoods prior to the internet.
Yeah.
So, and I would say that you were probably on the cutting edge of internet, as was I.
Yes.
But like younger than me, and there is zero people who are raised without the internet.
Right. No, for sure. And that's what, the internet I think is a huge one. And it's like, again, this is going to sound super boomer of me, but I do think like Gen Z have a grasp on the internet in a way, and social media, and the way that like that all is portrayed. They have like a better grasp on that because it's been their whole life, I think, like in a lot of ways, where they've been around it a lot more than I think even millennials have, even if it's just a few years difference. So I think, the relationship with the internet is an interesting one because it's like that instant gratification thing, like that's been ingrained for a while versus like growing up, like the TV show thing was a great example. Is like, I would say a lot of Gen Z kids probably don't ever remember waiting for a TV show to come out in that way. It's that instant gratification, the YouTube world, like it. Yeah. So I think that's a huge difference. Were you going to say something else, or was that? Because I was gonna go back into
you finish
some
your
of
thought,
my
'cause
other ones.
my biggest difference is entirely different than yours.
Okay, I like that. I'm very curious what yours is. Style, I think, is a big one. I think this is a very stereotypical thing, and I don't think it applies to everyone. but I mean, even people, it's like the stereotypical things are like millennials part their hair on like the one
Ooh, the side
side
part.
versus like the middle part, and then like millennials love like skinny jeans, and Gen Z like wears like baggier jeans or different cuts and styles and whatever. But I don't really think that's fair to say, because I don't think that's the case for every millennial or every Gen Z.
Right.
And I think now fashion is so much more free to like express yourself how you want, that like I don't think anyone really cares about that anymore. But I just remember when like that was a big hot topic of like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
everyone's making fun of each other on
Yeah, it
TikTok
was
of like,
well, before it was just prior to us having a global shutdown for all of us to care about, that like the cusp of what was funny on the internet was like Gen Z versus
making
millennial.
fun
So
of each other.
to be
Yeah.
fair, we're like a few years late on
Right.
this conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
But it all was around like the discourse on TikTok of like side parts, skinny jeans.
which is so funny.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but so I think there are differences there, but I also think that like that just depends on like if you're into fashion, like me, like
Right.
I like to follow trends and wear trendy fashion, even if it's just for a few weeks, because
Totally.
I think it's fun to follow that, and
Well,
a lot of
maybe
people.
that goes into like Gen Z are more willing to follow the trends
Yeah,
than
that's a
millennials
great.
are.
That's
Millennials are a little more
probably
stuck.
yeah.
Which that actually does segue into what I think is the biggest difference.
Okay, what's yours?
I think that the biggest difference between Gen Z and millennials is how we view labor and working, like working rights.
100%. I read about this.
Yeah.
I was looking a lot into this,
And this is one of the
true.
things that I love about Gen Z. I love my generation
Yeah.
and younger. I think that they're
I do
incredible.
too. Just
I
to
think
set
that
the record.
things that they are growing up with and growing up in is
Right.
just producing some very, very unique people.
I will say too, before you go into that, another thing that goes along with that I also really I guess it goes with what I admire about your
Yeah.
generation, but that idea, there's a sense of justice and passion that
Totally.
Gen Z has that is so different from any other generation. They care so much about human rights and about humanity in a way that's really, really compelling and beautiful, and they just care about people, and they care about like letting people express themselves and love who they want to love, and like I'm so for that, and I love that about your generation. Everyone's like so accepting of people, and I think that like older generations, it's really hard to like I thought something messed up on the camera. That goes into a whole other conversation, but I think that's important.
I really do think now that we're talking about this, the thread that you can pull through all of this is the internet. Because I grew up in a town of 2,500 people. Like I should not be as open-minded as I am. I should not have experienced the people groups that I care about.
Right.
But because of the internet and because of YouTube and Reddit and getting to experience these like queer creators or these people of color who are creating and we're making art that I cared about, it gave me relationship with people who didn't live in my town.
Yeah.
And it gave me like, because I grew up in like really, to talk about race a little bit, like I grew up in a really, really white part of the world. Like
in a really small town, like
incredibly
like
small town. So like for me to have been experiencing
people different than you.
people who didn't live in my town, and to broaden my horizons to that is 100% thanks. Well, I mean, I would say 95% thanks to the internet.
Absolutely, I think that's really beautiful, and I think you're right. I think the internet has helped me in my adult life, like start to really define like a lot of my beliefs and stuff. Which that maybe sounds super daft or like whatever you want to call that, but like, in all seriousness, it's helped me like you said, like see other people and differences in a really beautiful way, and like start to recognize that there's more than when you grow up in like a small town or even in the South, like there's a lot that comes with that. And so I think the internet is really like, this is a positive of the internet, is
100%.
seeing like being able to like uplift to those people who have been like, whether they've been outcast or just different, to be able to like spotlight them and say like, this is great work that these people are doing, or to just see like people do amazing things. I don't know. It's cool.
For sure. So that, I would say, leads into that my generation just does not take from anybody.
Oh, 100%.
Like, we We can smell it from a mile away.
That is another thing I was thinking
Like,
about. Yeah.
And that's why when it comes down to like
Zero.
when it comes down to like working and like labor rights and workers'
Yes.
rights and stuff like that, like the thing that I always joke about is that like Gen Z will quit at the drop of a hat.
Mhm.
Like one inconvenience comes along and Gen Z is gonna quit their job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
Like I'm here for it.
That's so different than millennials because like I think we are so, and also like I don't know. I think millennials are much more used to like office jobs, 9 to 5,
Yes.
and like I think
there's
the
there's a
pandemic.
level of complacency around
Yes.
the job that you have, which is like, well, it pays the bills. I'm not happy doing it.
No,
but it pays the
but
bills.
I'm gonna do it because this is what I know will pay the bills,
sure.
and it's the only way that I can't see past that. You
Yeah.
know, I think COVID changed that for a lot of people. I think everyone started working from home from their office jobs, like me,
Right.
and started to realize, oh, wait a second, I can do so much more at home, and this is a healthier lifestyle, better work-life balance. That's another thing I think Gen Z has is like care a lot more about that work-life balance and like I don't know.
Well, because like Gen Z made money on crypto.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
We were the first ones to make money on Bitcoin
And TikTok.
Right,
Like it's
exactly.
like kids
like
are doing what
brand
they want.
sponsorships
Yeah.
on sponsored Instagram posts, stuff
Yeah.
like that, where it's like, oh, I don't have to go and like hate my life for 40 hours a week in an office. Not that that's a horrible job. It's fine.
Well, and it's fine for some people. I think
Yeah.
some people are not wired that way, and I
Totally.
think that that's totally fine. I also think we're in a lot of maybe, I don't know, maybe not just millennials, but a lot of people are ingrained in like it's work is good, like you have to work hard, and that's a very American thing too. Is like the hustle culture thing is huge, and I
Yes.
think that Gen Z just kind of was like, this is kind of bull because like.
Dumb. Hustling is dumb.
Yeah, we don't like to work.
Right.
And I think it's kind of
I'll be
maybe
the
the
first to
first
say it.
generation.
I don't like to work.
No, I know.
And
And
I
like
don't want to.
yeah, I think that's
That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah. Well, and again, yeah, I think that's a great example of this whole thing is like, yeah, Gen Z was like, wait a second, we don't like to work. And
Right.
everyone was like, oh, yeah, no one really likes to work. A lot
For
of people
sure.
just do it because you have to. And
Well,
like,
especially in the post-COVID,
yeah, exactly.
we experienced.
We all got a taste of not working for a
100%.
few months
The curtain
or
got
whatever
pulled
it
back
was.
for a little
yeah.
bit. It was like, oh, the labor force does not exist.
This has just
unless-
become a social justice podcast.
This has become slightly socialist. So what I'm saying is we have to seize the means of production,
Oh, God.
comrades.
Bernie Sanders just pops up in his
He's-
sweater right here.
with his mittens on.
Yeah. The mittens, that's what
Yeah.
it was. I was like, what? I mean,
Take that however you want. We
No,
can
no,
move on a little
we'll-
bit from this.
yeah,
But
okay.
just basically like we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like there is a level of like I'm not going to take what I don't want. Like
Well, and I
I'm going to
think,
do what
like-
I want to do and find out how to make money off of it or support myself.
I think what's profound about Gen Z is like they were the first ones to say it. Everyone was thinking it, kind of thing. You
For
know,
sure.
like it's like we're all kind of on the same page. We want a
Yeah.
better, healthier work-life balance. Like, yes, it's not practical to just never work again.
Right.
Which I think Gen Z would do that. And like
I also think that Gen Z is incredibly hard workers.
for sure, and I agree with that. But I also think that like there's an extreme to that. But also, I think most people just sit in the middle of like.
Totally.
I think at the end of the day, a lot of us just want a healthy work-life
100%.
balance, and I think that's the positive we can pull from
Yeah.
that whole
Well,
thing.
and,
You
like,
know.
I feel like boomers and millennials love to pull the extremes of the Gen Z, like the Island Boys thing.
Yes, yes,
like,
yes.
Where they're like, look at these lazy, entitled Gen Z.
Yeah,
when it's
yeah.
But like I'm speaking from a place of privilege because I own a house, but
Yeah.
like, you know, as a generation, like it seems impossible to own a house. It seems impossible to retire. It seems all these things. So it's like, why would I contribute to this machine
Right.
that is not going to contribute back to me? So it's all about finding how do you get the most fulfillment out of what you're doing? And
For sure.
it goes back to the instant gratification as well. Like we are the generation of instant gratification.
Oh, absolutely.
So like if I'm not getting instant gratification from something,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to remove that from my life.
That's great. I think that's totally
Yeah.
that's the answer to the biggest question that we
Yes.
just talked about. Is like that's the biggest difference.
Yeah.
All right, let's end it with some positives. More
This is
positives.
actually like a perfect.
Okay,
Again,
good.
We've just landed on perfect segues.
Wow.
But like, I really respect that. I think that millennials are the last true minimalists. I don't think that minimalism can exist anymore in the actual post-internet, post-instant gratification world, where like you guys like doing things like gardening. That's minimal. Not
Not
you
me.
specifically, but like I don't know many
I see what you
Gen
mean.
Z who are out here gardening and planting seeds
Yeah,
that are gonna.
I get what you mean.
It's all about.
It's also
like,
a consumerism thing where
Yeah.
it's like younger, again, speaking broad here, but like younger
sure.
generations, like, again, it's at the touch of our fingers, order off Amazon
Yes,
or order
exactly.
clothes or whatever it
we
is.
live in a city that has free same-day shipping
Yeah,
on
it's
Amazon.
insane.
I can go and order something. It's late at this point, but like I
Yeah.
can wake up and order something, and it'll be at my house in a few hours.
Yeah, it's insane. No, you're so right, though. So you were saying,
Yeah,
what
the
is
minimalism of millennials and the you're okay with I'm gonna
like
take
simplicity
care of this house
of-
plant.
Yeah.
And it'll eventually thrive,
Yeah.
or stuff like that. Yes, the
Not
simplicity
me. I
around
kill every plant we
True.
have.
the simplicity around millennial entertainment and like Friends. Friends is the perfect example of millennial entertainment, which is
That
just
is so
simple
true.
and
Oh, wow,
minimal,
that is so
and
true.
It's just things like that, and then
For
like
sure.
Seinfeld,
The Office.
The Office. It's
Yeah.
all just like here's something simple that you will find entertaining, and all of us Gen Z go like, well, I have to wait till the end of the episode for the punchline. Like, what are you talking about? Tell me what you love about Gen Z.
I think my favorite thing about Gen Z is just they accept people for who they are.
Yep.
They don't really the bull thing, like they don't take any bull. They're just honest, they're loving, they're kind, but the minute you like do something that's like wrong or shady, then you're canceled. And it's like which like that's a whole conversation itself, but I do think like again that need for justice and like is really beautiful to me. So that's what I love.
And you see, we can live together in harmony.
Perfect harmony.
We're shaking hands for those listening at home.
Left-handed shake.
Left-handed shake. Back to your handshakes. It's gotten better.
No, it's somehow.
That's strong.
Good. All right, to end the
Well,
podcast.
This has been fun.
Yeah, this has been great. Great conversation. Funny quirks about millennials and Gen
What do you guys
Zs.
think? Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know.
There might be a poll. I don't know how Spotify works. It might be a poll or something. It gave me that option to create
really?
a poll. Yeah.
I don't know.
If there's a poll, let us know.
So we're on
what you
Spotify
think.
and YouTube, and continue to follow along.
Give me a quick shout out. What are you into?
Shout outs. Okay, guys, if you haven't seen the new Wednesday show on Netflix, we binged it last week. It's
Forget
so
about
good.
the first 20 minutes. Just
we felt
grit
like
your teeth through the cringe of the first 20 minutes because it's very worth it.
Joseph and I kind of were watching it. We're like, oh no, some of the acting and some of the script just feels very cheesy, very whatever. But once you get past that, honestly, it's a great show, and I do think it's really well done, really well written. Tim Burton is one of my heroes. I love his work so much, and it's just done so well. And I'm obsessed with Wednesday. The girl who plays her, Jenna, I can't remember her last name.
Ortega.
Yeah, she's adorable. I love her so much. So yeah, very into that. I feel like I'm just talking about it nonstop. Yeah. Also, on a very different note, I am obsessed with this new tea. It's not new, but it seems somehow limited because it's hard to find. But it's called Bengal Spice, and
Celestial.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Let me tell you, it's just so good. It's also herbal tea, so it's not caffeinated, and we love that because I love having like a warm drink at night that doesn't keep me up all night.
Yeah.
And it's just really magical. It's in my cup right now.
Sure. Mine too. It's very good.
Yeah. What about you?
Only thing I'll say is shout out this table.
Yeah, this table.
This table has changed our life.
We've done a lot of house
upgrades. See the corner of it, but it's real nice.
We'll do a new. We'll kind of show all our new little house updates soon because we have done a lot since our last on YouTube. We have a house tour video which you should watch because it's really fun. So anyway, that's it for us today.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much.
This has been Blackbird
Yep.
Club.
This is Blackbird Breakfast Club, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.